Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, here's a video. I am going to show you the success I had in this experiment, which is using yarn medium to root my aroids and other houseplants. I've already shown you guys that it's possible to root coleus in yarn. I have a bunch of coleus that are rooted in yarn and are thriving, but I'm going to remove them because I don't want to have to deal with the hassle of untangling really long roots. They'll definitely get damaged if I have to remove them. So I will take the coleus out of the yarn pretty soon. They've been in there for a while. But I wanted to show you what works really, really well is yarn culture for aroids. I have some Pothos here. There's a Snow Queen. There is Pearls and Jade. This is a sport that came off of my manhula. This is Global Green, and then and this is also neon. But then I have some baby snake plants. These I think were sprouted from. I can't remember if they're sprouted from leaves. I think there was a leaf propagation. I can't remember, but the little babies, and they're in the yarn and they're doing great. So let me just show you one by one what I've done, and that rhymes. So this one was a I guess it was a stem cutting that I had taken and I stuck it in some yarn. I just wrapped the yarn around it, kept it damp, and you can see, where are the roots? I saw them before. There we go. You can see the roots started to grow and it went down and then it went back up. And this has been in here for quite some time. Not a great example of what the roots look like because they're probably buried inside the yarn. But I let it almost completely dry out and then I water it again. But I don't let the water sit. Since the yarn absorbs the water, I fill it with water and then I dump it and the yarn stays damp for a few days to a week. Okay, there's that one. This one was newly put into, somebody had requested a one of these cuttings from me. So I took it from my Snow Queen and I cut it and I put it in here and it started to grow its root. You could see the root started growing all the way down there and it's going to start wrapping all around. But it took no time at all. Like if the plant is healthy when you take a cutting, it's going to form its roots in the yarn very, very quickly. This is the sport that I had and you can see the roots just went nuts down here. This one needs to be watered. It's a little bit dry, but look at those roots. They just love this medium and it started to grow new leaves. So it's doing really well. I actually have had this one, you could tell from the root growth, I've had it in here for a while. And as long as I feed it and give it some nutrients, I tend to give it hydroponic nutrients because there's no soil to break down any complex elements. So you could keep it in here and it's actually like a pretty little conversation piece, you know what I mean? If you're using a yarn that's nice in color and pretty, it matches your decor, you can leave it in here for an extended period of time. I mean, I haven't had to remove mine from the yarn for a while, anytime I've done this. But the roots are doing well. As long as you keep it damp and give it some food when it needs it, you're golden. So this one's interesting. These were cuttings that I got of the Global Green. It's a pretty Pothos. It's a fairly new variety that's kind of been a craze, I guess you could say. Everyone's looking for it. You could see how the roots went nuts. They just went crazy. And it hasn't been in here for too long, but it's already started growing a new shoot. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So again, loving the yarn, the moisture, and the roots are starting to grow along the bottom there, you can see. And yeah, I'm telling you, like for aroids in particular, this is my now favorite and preferred method of propagation. Soil, it works. Perlite, it works. Water, obviously it works. But this is just so much easier for me. Look at this one. This one I put in, it was just a cutting of my neon Pothos. And you could see the roots started to make it to the bottom. And they're circling. And they're healthy and supple. I'm just waiting for a new shoot to come out. It's probably going to come out from the base of this leaf right here. That's the growing tip. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, another success. Here is the snake plant. This little baby has been growing in here for a little while. You can see the roots have had some time to grow and all throughout the yarn. Now this one I let dry out completely because snake plants prefer that. They like to have that wet dry cycle, almost like an orchid. So I let this dry out, not for too long. I mean, I let it dry out so it's dry. I feel it's light and it's dry, and I can feel that it's dry by my putting my finger there. Then I water it and I dump out the extra, and it's doing extremely well. I got a bunch of new leaves. You can see this is one of the nest varieties, so it's not going to get very tall, and the leaves aren't going to get extremely long, but it grows like a nest shape, and it's doing very well. Doing very, very well. This one I have not been giving nutrients to, but I think it's time I should. They're not heavy feeders, so it's not like a major deal. But here's another. Now this is one of the fasciata, I believe. That's the longer leaf, they grow tall. I think this was from a leaf cutting, and the mother leaf died off, and I had this little baby plant. I'm like, oh man, I can't submerge the whole plant in water. I don't want to put it in soil because I'm not a fan of soil. So I put it in yarn, and it went to town. You could see their roots all over the place, just growing like crazy. And I used a camouflage yarn, camouflage color yarn, and it looks like it could, is that soil? Like, is that moss? What are you using in there? It's yarn. And the plant is doing extremely well. We had a new leaf come out over here. Let me point with this hand. This was a new leaf, and there's a new baby leaf coming out there. So it's thriving, it's happy. I don't even have this in bright light. None of these actually have been under lights. None of the pothos and none of these, and neither of these two snake plants. So I would imagine if I did keep them under the light like here where they are right now, they would just go to town and start growing and going crazy. So I just don't have any room here. As you can see, there's just too many plants on this little workbench, I guess you can call it. But yeah, these are some of my success stories with yarn. Oh, look, I just found another one. This is a golden pothos. This was part of an experiment that I did on a video. I have neglected this. It's extremely dry. But you can see a new leaf has already come out of the stem. There are roots all over the place in here. So I definitely recommend experimenting. If you want to try something, experiment with it. Aroids like pothos in particular and philodendrons, so easy that that if they're not doing well, you could just take them out of where you have them and you could put them in something else and they'll thrive. So they're not really difficult plants. So I definitely recommend, if you want to experiment, to use one of these types, at least until you kind of find what works best for your environment, because your growing space is probably going to be different than mine, than anybody else's. So mine is like stagnant air unless I have a fan on constantly, and that just gets to be a pain in the butt. So I definitely say experiment and do some fun stuff, like use some interesting colors. Use a larger vessel, like clear vessels are better, I feel, because first of all, you can see the color of the yarn, but also you can at a glance see if it's getting dry. You can see the root growth. I prefer using the clear vessels for those reasons. But I definitely recommend, if you're bored and you want to try something new and see how successful you are with it, I say give it a shot. So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Share with your friends, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell if you want to be notified, and I will see you in the next video.